This week's episode is sponsored by Helio Gas Detection. Hey everyone, this is Letty for the Smash and Skull Sessions. I'm joined by Alan and Dan from 4 Years Strong. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Oh, good. I've been really looking forward to this. I've been listening to the new album and really been digging it. So I've been really looking forward to sitting and chatting with you guys.
All right. Glad you like it.
It's so good. It's so good. So welcome to the podcast. To our listeners who maybe haven't heard of you guys before, could you introduce yourselves and your roles in the band?
I'm Alan. I sing and play guitar in the band.
And I also sing and play guitar in the band.
Excellent. How would you guys describe your sound?
Oh man.
I don't know, like energetic, rock enlaced with metal. I don't know. How would you describe our sound?
I describe you guys as easy core.
Oh,
Okay.
Sort of
Okay.
like teetering like the heaviness and keeping like the pop punk roots. That's how
yeah,
I
that sounds about right.
yeah, so I class you guys with like the story so far and all that.
That's who we're out on tour with, so I guess it makes sense.
How's it going?
It's going great. Lots of hanging out, lots of good friends.
Have you listened to their new album, The Story, so far?
Yeah, it's great.
It's really good. I'm really enjoying it. So who would your guys' biggest musical influences be?
Oh man. There's a lot.
There's a
Especially
lot of them. Yeah.
between all of us, there's a lot of different stuff that we like.
We go, yeah, I mean, for me and Alan, I mean, like we definitely, uh, you know, span a lot of different genres of things that we like, from, the Beatles to Bon Iver to Lamb of God to, whatever. Like I just like good music. So whatever it is, I'm into it. That's basically it.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. I've been listening to that new Charlie XCX record pretty much on repeat, so
That's on my to listen. What's it like? Is it good?
it's really good. It's not
I
necessarily even the type of thing I listen to a lot, like, but it's super catchy.
I heard the one song that you played me the other day, but I haven't actually listened to the whole record.
I
It's a good time.
I keep thinking whenever I see the vinyl out in public that it's the hardcore band Brat, and then I turn around, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Charlie XCX.
Yeah.
So
That's funny.
you guys have a new album coming out, Analysis Paralysis. How was the recording process for it?
It was
It
good.
was
I mean, it was long and a little stressful, but I think that all that stress and added stuff, came out as positives in the final product. So, I mean, it was cool because we went back in with Will, who we did Brain Pain with, Will Putney. So, we didn't have like a whole like get to know you phase of working with producer or anything, which I love. And Alan and I kind of just got right to work writing songs because we didn't have any when we went into the studio. We were not very prepared, which is sometimes good, sometimes bad. But I think in this case, it ended up turning out to be a positive because there's like an interesting vibe to the record that I think that we wouldn't have gotten to if we had all the time in the world to be prepared when we showed up.
well, because I think our lack of preparedness came from a place of like overly mentally prepared, like overthinking everything and like not knowing what like we were talking a lot about the record. We were trying to make progress on the record, and it's not that we like didn't think about it until the day we got into the studio, but we just overthought to the point where everything we wrote felt like not right until we got in the studio and actually locked ourselves in a room together and like kind of hashed out all our thoughts.
It's a Pretty cool
Yeah,
record
we
anyway.
had analysis paralysis for part of it. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I'm really digging the vibe of it. Like I've listened to like I got sent the album early and I've just been replaying it and I'm just really, really loving it.
Awesome. Glad you like it.
Yeah, I really do like it. Do you have a favorite memory from recording analysis paralysis? You can both give an answer each.
Oh man, I don't know. I'd
My
say
favorite memory was when it was done, and we were like,
I was
"Wow,
gonna say the same thing.
yeah." Because I mean, it was a labor of love, but like there was a lot of work went into this thing, and a lot of very fine-toothed work and anxiety went into getting it exactly the way we wanted it to be, and it took a while to get there. But once we were at a place where like, okay, like I hear the record now. Like I like this sounds like a record. This feels the way that we pictured it in our minds. I think that was just the best moment for me.
That's okay.
I would I was just saying that I think one of my favorite parts was when we started to write the song Aftermath, Afterthought. Because it was just one of the more exciting outside the box things we were doing that was like didn't feel like it was meant to be a Fleur Strong song at first. It was just kind of like this weird thing. But then like the process of reeling in the ideas and bringing more of what Four Strong does into it as it went, while it's still being this kind of like new territory that we haven't touched on, was just fun and exciting because I feel like it's so easy to get stuck in like a box creatively when you're in a band for 20 plus years and have a fan base that have expectations. So like when you do find something that feels new to you and exciting with the hope, cross your fingers, that people also like it, that's like the best feeling.
I can't imagine like releasing a song and like having people like the expectation of what and even anxiety of like what people are gonna think of it. Like it must be like a big relief when people like start like jamming out to it and be like, yo, this is really
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh yeah.
it's a really awesome feeling for sure.
Yeah, especially because we've definitely had experiences both ways where we've put out a new song and unanimously every comment is, wow, this sucks. Uh, and so when it goes the other way and it seems like it's really like taken really well, it's that much better when you
Yeah.
know what it feels like to have it go the other way.
And how do you guys deal with like, if your fans like say like, this sucks?
Um,
I mean, you
well, it
deal with
depends
it.
how much.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it depends how many people say that. When
Yeah.
it's everybody, like we put out a record in 2011 where kind of everyone hated it. That didn't We didn't deal with that well because we kind of just basically started to hate each other and break up. Uh, but like nowadays, things with this new album are seem to be going pretty well, and people seem to like it. And when a few people comment, "This sucks," bring back Rise by Trying, like, yeah, you're the type of person that's gonna feel that way no matter what we did. So like, I don't really take it to heart. Um, so I guess it's just depends how heavy the comments are of
I
negative
think
versus positive.
I think it depends on how we got to the product that they don't like. For instance, like when Alan brought up that other record, I think when we did that other record in some way, shape, or form and people didn't like it, I think it was really a big bum out because at that time we were younger and we were listening to a lot of the voices around us thinking that they probably knew better than we did because they were, you know, big paycheck music industry people. And when they ended up not being correct, I think we didn't really know who to be mad at, ourselves for trusting them or them for giving us bad advice or whatever. But when we like a record like we just made with analysis paralysis, where everything on the record is exactly what we would want to do. There's like we wrote this record, as the songs that we want to hear. Like we didn't try to write it as like, oh, what do we think we'll do better? What do we think will be like a bigger song. We just tried to write songs that we think would be fun and fun to play live and you know, things like that. And obviously trying to put yourselves in the shoes of somebody watching it live, be like, oh, it would be a fun thing to do here. But I think then if you put something out and people don't like it, it's kind of just like, well, I think like that's more of a we just see things differently than like taking it to heart. I feel like if I love something and other people don't like it, I honestly think it would be less of a gut punch than like something where like, well, I listened to all the right advice and people still hate it. So what the hell, you know?
Yeah, no,
You-
that's a good way of like dealing with it.
on that note, I feel like that is like kind of the mentality we had going into this record, I guess, and Brain Pain a little bit is for the first time in a long time, we realized that like, I think one of the most important ingredients to our first couple of records, was exactly what Dan just said. Like we were writing music that we wanted to hear. Like it really was who we were as music fans, as songwriters. Like we were doing what felt like what we wanted to be doing, not with any expectation of that. And it's inevitable when you have any amount of success doing that, then there's expectations. So then you have this inner dialogue of like, okay, well, I think this is what people like that we do. So we got to keep doing that. But we realize that like the ingredient of us doing the version that we feel that feels authentic to us, we need to apply that again. We need to like not just think about our history, but who we are now and how we can play a 4 Year Strong song that feels like something that we would listen to, that we would be excited to hear, that if like a peer or a band we knew put that out, if it would pique our interest as fans, you know, like that's, and again, that's why like that moment when we were writing Aftermath, Afterthought, it felt like that. It was like, ooh, this is, I feel like if I heard this, I'd perk up like, what is it? Who is this? I want to hear more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of like fans forget like a lot of bands and artists don't make music for the fans, they make it for themselves.
Or that's the way it should be anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I forget who posted, I saw some post that someone was saying like, and not that we're at all this, I understand this, but like, oh, I think it was like Liam Gallagher or something posted like, the artist has to be the artist. You can't be what the fans want because the fans don't know what they want. Fans didn't know they wanted Jimi Hendrix, but then he came and did his thing, and the world was like, "Oh, we fucking needed that," and we didn't know it, but here it is, you know. And I think those are all the greatest ones. To me, the most inspiring artists are the ones that kind of break the mold, that like do something that feels so authentic that people just can't ignore it. It wasn't something that just like, oh yeah, everyone else is doing this thing that's really popular, so let's jump on that and do that. You know, it's always the ones that break the mold that just like do themselves so authentically and so well that it can't be ignored.
Yeah. Shout out Liam
Yeah.
Gallagher.
Shout out.
Shout out Liam
Yeah.
Gallagher.
And I think the thing too is that whether someone likes it or doesn't like it is not as important to me as I just don't want people to say that we like phoned in a record. You know what I mean? Like that's the important thing for me. We've been around long enough, and you know, not naming any names, but there's plenty of bands in the world that once they get to a point of this is what our band sounds like, this is what expected, so they go into a studio and just put out 10 or 12 songs that sound exactly like that. And that's when I think you start to see, you know, the band start to break down and not be a,
Yeah.
you know,
Exciting.
a musical entity, a creative entity. Now it becomes more like this
A
business
business.
that's trying to hold on to a product. And not that there's anything wrong. Like obviously we are a business. You know, we use this to pay our bills and everything. But I think that the music needs to come first, and the creativity needs to come first, because if it doesn't, everything just kind of starts rotting from the inside. So that was kind of like part of the thing too, is making sure that we're writing something that doesn't doesn't come across like we're phoning it in, like that we actually gave thought to every point and we're writing stuff that actually excites us as musicians and as music fans.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Like, even if I found like a lot of bands I like, COVID was a great reset for them because they all got like time apart and space that they needed, and then they could come
Yeah,
back together.
that's true.
Yeah, like one of my favorite bands. I don't know if you've heard of them, Have Mercy. They were,
Yeah, I've heard of
I
them.
think yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah.
yeah, they were going to break up, and we're going on a big farewell tour, and then COVID happened, and then COVID actually made them realize, well, no, maybe we want to continue this, and they didn't break up.
Huh.
That was
Yeah.
pretty cool. So,
COVID
Yeah.
was definitely a big awakening in a lot of different ways for a lot of different people. That's for sure.
100%. You can both give an answer for this as well, and it doesn't have to be for 4 years strong. If you could collaborate with any musician dead or alive, who would it be?
Paul McCartney.
Trent Reznor.
Oh,
There's
both. Yeah.
that would be
Those,
some combo.
If we could
yeah.
do both at the same time, that would be
That
awesome.
would be pretty cool. That'd be an expensive room. That'd be cool.
That'd be an expensive room, and also two, I have to assume, completely couldn't be different, like opinions and
Songwriters.
like songwriters
Yeah.
style. Like, yeah, that would be awesome. That
Yeah,
that's the one.
I agree.
they're both polar opposites, but it'd be so interesting to see like the two of them in a room to see what they came up with.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
agree. Honestly, I would just sit back and watch. I'd be just
Yeah,
excited
same.
to be in the room.
Yeah,
I'm like, you guys
I
write a
wouldn't want to
song.
get told.
I'm gonna eat some food and watch.
Yeah.
That would be a whole entertaining thing on its own, like.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty cool. You guys re-recorded Enemy of the World and released it in 2022. How did you come up with
Yep.
the idea of re-recording it?
Well, it really came from a place of, that record came out on a major label that has since kind of folded and got kind of lumped into a catalog label. And we've never been able to press vinyl on that record since the very first pressing because of that. We've tried everything we could. We tried to license the record. We tried to just get them to like let us print it. We tried to do all these things, and we just kept coming up to these roadblocks and everything. And then when it came time to do the record, we realized that our contractual agreement to re-record the music was 10 years. So we were like, well, if we re-record the record, then we can actually print the vinyl. We can do all these things because we were doing this whole tour around it, and it would have just sucked if like we're like, hey, it's the 10-year anniversary of this record. We can't do a cool anniversary vinyl press. We can't do anything cool with the music. It just is what it is. So we're just like, fuck it. Taylor Swift did it, so we're gonna do it too. That was kind of the thing, you know?
Yeah, and it must have been fun going back and revisiting maybe some like the deep cuts that don't get played live.
I don't know I don't know if fun is the word to describe it. It was interesting, because I think we've changed a lot as songwriters. We've kind of evolved a lot, and there were things that we were coming back to. We're like, why did we do that? But no,
Yeah.
it was fun.
We
And
actually
honestly,
fixed a couple of them.
yeah, more more the more fun part to me than re-recording it was playing it on tour when we did the anniversary tour, because we've done an anniversary tour for a record before that, and it was fun, but this one I felt like I still relate to that album more than I thought I would, like, and playing it in front of crowds and seeing how much it still works with our fans, like that was more fun to me than re-recording it, because I think the
Yeah.
important part about that album in the history of the band is how it connected with us to our fans more than it was for us. It was about the like kind of relationship that helped us build with all the people out there that like that record. So getting out there and having that reaction again and have it still work after, 12 years after it came out, that was the best part for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it
I
must be.
agree. Like re-recording the records was more or less kind of data entry because we tried really hard to make sure that we kept intact what people love about that record. So we didn't try to like, oh, if we were going to do this song now, we'd change this thing, we change this thing. There were a couple things that we updated, but I'll bet you people wouldn't even be able to figure them out. Like moved one kick drum to one different spot, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we tried to keep intact what people loved about that record and just kind of update the recording and just make it a little bit more it more or less just sounding like For You're Strong now playing the songs back then. So it was a little bit daunting actually when we were kind of doing it. It was a lot of like, because there's no creativity really going into it. It's just getting the stuff tracked, you know?
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Sounds really good anyway. I listened to it and I
Thanks.
really enjoyed it. Your guys'
Thanks.
music is a lot of
I think it
fun.
sounds awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. You can both give an answer each again. Do you have any favorite album releases of 2024 so far, or any that you're looking forward to that are coming out?
I actually I feel like it's been a long time since I've been like really excited about new music, and there are a bunch of things. I guess I don't know if it was this year. Well, that Charlie XCX record, I love. I love the new Idols record. I love the McGee record. And one I'm really excited about is the Fontaine's DC record that's coming out in like August or September or whenever that is. Um, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of music I'm excited about right now.
And Dan?
For me, I don't have a ton of stuff that I'm necessarily looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the new Drug Church, which I don't think is announced yet, but I know that they're doing a new record, so I'm excited to hear that. Um, yeah, that's about it.
Drug Church, they made their Irish debut earlier this year, and
Oh, really? That's
Really?
awesome.
it was one of the most insane gigs I've ever been to.
That's awesome.
I was putting
It's fun. Sorry.
yeah, yeah, you go.
I was gonna say, is Fontaine's DC from Ireland?
They were formed in a music college in Dublin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so they're we're one of the modern poster boys for Irish music.
Nice.
Yeah, but at the Drug Church concert, I was putting my phone away. The band had just come on, and I immediately got floored by a stage diver.
Uh, that's how you know it's a good show.
It was very good. There were so
Battle
many
wounds.
stage divers, they had to tell people to stop.
Wow.
But the Irish crowd brings them. They love their hardcore
That's
stuff.
cool.
Uh,
That's
for
awesome.
it's a great little scene. 4 Years Strong were formed in 2001, 23 years. What do you think has attributed to you guys staying together for so long?
Oh God. I don't know. Lack of other skills.
I think what it comes down to is because we did kind of break up for like a year and a half, like soft breakup, like unannounced kind of thing where we just didn't talk to each other for a year. But I think that the reason why the band is able to stay around for so long is the same thing that kind of got us back together, which was just kind of a love of creating music together. Like we really like writing together. We really like creating music. I think that, especially like when me and Alan get into a room, there's an interesting back and forth that happens. And especially because I've been doing it for so long that I know Alan knows how my brain works. I know how Alan's brain works, but we still seem to come up with things that surprise each other and make writing together really fun. And I think that a lot of that has to do with it, but I think also the fact that when we did do that little breakup thing, it gave us some time to grow up. So now the band can function a lot more like
Like adults.
mentally, like we can talk to each other. We can air our grievances more. We can talk about things that we don't like and not let things pent up. And I think that we just have, I think the entity of For You're Strong has a pretty good head on its shoulders at this point in time. So I think that that's really what keeps us together is the fact that we all have the same goal in mind. We're not fighting in different directions. We all pretty much see eye to eye on where we want things to go. Obviously, there's random things like small details that we'll have different opinions on, but I think that's also what makes things work out really cool when we find whatever that third option is that makes everybody happy.
That's fair. Like you guys grew up with 4 Year Strong and 4 Year Strong grew up with you guys. Like you evolved together.
Yeah,
That's it.
something
Yeah.
like that.
And we're on to our last question. Do you guys have any advice for anyone wanting to start a band in 2024?
Honestly, no,
Um,
because it's completely different now than it was when we started a band. It's been so long since we've started a band. I don't even know what goes into it now. Because like step one when we started was, I don't know, pick up a guitar, keep practicing, play as many local shows as you could. And I think all
Flyer.
that still, yeah, I think all that still applies, but like not in the same order. I think step one now is start an Instagram and TikTok account, uh, and like build a following online, you know?
Yeah.
But I
I
don't know. I
think
guess
I think
the,
that go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, actually, the only advice I think that maybe still does apply, which I think is as obvious as it might seem, it's maybe not applied all that often, is you just have to be really good at what you do. Like, even if you're trying to build a following online or get out in the real world and play shows, like the best way to build that following, whatever it is to be really good at what you do. So practicing your craft and like just being good at whatever it is you're doing has to be the most important thing to be able to turn
Yeah.
heads and make people want to follow you.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely a lot of like background noise that you have to break through that didn't exist when we first started right now, which would make things a lot harder. But I think that one of the things that still applies that applied when we were young too is it maybe doesn't apply in the same thing of like, how do I get my band to be bigger faster? But I think the way that you build a lasting career is to play in front of as many people as you can, as much as you can. Because if there's anything that I've noticed over time is the fans that we've made over, that have seen us play live, a lot of times are the fans that stick around more than just the fans who necessarily follow us on Instagram or just like the records. So, it's a little daunting to think about it, but building your fan base like two sets of ears at a time in front of people, I think is something that builds a little bit more of a meaty career that you can do something with than just trying to do everything you can on social media to build this big following. Because I know plenty of bands that have an insane amount of followers on Instagram or on TikTok, but can only put like 100 people in a room. You know what I mean? So having that translate, I think is the biggest obstacle that people need to come across. Is it can't just be one or the other. It kind of has to be both.
Yeah, and I think it's like I've noticed it's like if you get 10 likes on a photo, or you get 10 people in a room, your chances of those 10 people who liked the photo becoming like a lifelong fan versus the 10 people that were in a room to see you play, like it's totally different. The connection that you make with people and like the power that the real world has on the relationship between an artist and a fan.
Yeah, you kind of have to be like well-rounded nowadays. Like you need to be good in marketing, know how to like, brand yourself. And it's very, very difficult nowadays.
It is.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what that's like for someone getting started. I know we're very fortunate to have an entire career, kind of in our back pocket. And even with that, it's still hard to stay relevant, to stay on people's radar, to beat the freaking algorithm gods,
Yeah.
so that people just see and hear what you're up to, because it's amazing how often we'll play a city and the following day someone like will play freaking Dallas, Texas, and then 2 days later someone will be like, "Oh man, I can't wait for you guys to come to Dallas." And it's like, well, we were there 2 days ago. And the reason you don't know that is because the algorithm has its ways of getting to people, and you just maybe weren't on that list. You know?
Yeah.
The algorithm
that, and I think
controls
that,
us.
yep, exactly. I think that also, like getting 10,000 likes on a photo or something like that, or putting out a new piece of music that people like new music gets so much more coverage and so much more of a wide net cast than just posting cool stuff on the internet or viral videos or something like that. So just keep putting out music, I think, is also just something. Don't just put out something and sit back and work it on the socials for a year. I think you have to try and be a lot more prolific than you had to be back in the day, which is something that we're struggling with too. I mean, we're a band that sometimes would take 4 or 5 years in between records, but now we're finding that like, okay, we're going to start thinking about this stuff a year out, 2 years out.
Yeah, like even the reason we're chatting and talking here today is because of new music. Like I discovered you
Exactly.
guys. And
Exactly.
new music always reaches your heart. So, Alan,
It's, I mean,
Dan,
it's the, yeah, yeah.
yeah, thank you guys so much for sitting down and talking with me.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much for having us, Letty. Appreciate it.
No worries at all. And Analysis Paralysis is out now.